To the slides. Here's the link to the slides. Then I'm going to give you the link to my Google Doc, but I'm going to give it to you with copy access. If you want to click right in the chat, the first one is the link to the slides if you would like to see the slides. And this is just the one that I made a few things on for the presentation. And I thought if this goes okay, I'll do another one with 5 other things. And I'm trying to pick stuff that's lesser known, and it was hard to hold back, you know, like I gotta like 5 and do 5. So there's definitely other things that we can do. So if you want to start with either going to docs.new and creating a new Google Doc, this is my favorite way to create documents. So that's docs.new, slides.new, sheets.new, sites.new, spreadsheet.new, like anything you can think of, .new, it'll create a new document for you. So I tend to use docs.new when I want a new Google Doc. So if you don't know that trick, if you want to use Control-T, so if you do Control-T, it opens a new tab, and then you just start typing docs.new. So you'll see the key here is not to touch the mouse. So I go to the Control-T, and it's a new tab. Do you notice that the cursor is blinking in the URL address bar? My husband told me he could make dinner quietly, but that is not the case. All right, so when I do Control-T, it puts the cursor in the address bar. It's blinking. And I do docs.new. And I just type it. I don't have to use the mouse. I push enter, and it starts a new Google Doc, which was one of my favorite things. So that doesn't count as one of the 5, but it could. So anytime like I need a new spreadsheet, I'm like sheets.new. Because of course the answer is always a spreadsheet. All right. So my first thing that I want to share with you is, if you don't know, is that you can insert image from camera. Now, actually, this icon being in the toolbar is pretty new. So let's go ahead and in either with the document that you made a copy of or in your new document, either way, pop on over here and you'll see in the toolbar, it has the hyperlink icon, the comment icon, and the insert image. Let me zoom in. That's too much zoom. There we go. So I'm going to click on, you see there's a triangle right next to the image icon, so I can upload images from my computer. I can search the web. If you have images in your Google Drive, Google Photos, insert by URL, and then this is one of my faves, is camera. So camera starts the camera. And I can just insert a selfie right in there. Now you're thinking, why would I put selfies in my Google Docs? Well, there's a couple of reasons I would put selfies in my Google Docs. Although, to be honest, I'm more inclined to put them into Google Slides, because at least with the Google Slides, I can resize it and kind of stick it in the corner of the slide or whatever. But I like to be a little goofy and give kids feedback with either a selfie, or if anyone knows anything about me, I'm maybe slightly obsessed with Bitmoji. And so I can throw those in there. But what I have students do is I have them do all their work on quarter sheets of paper. And I feel like I had a stack of quarter sheets near me, and now I can't find them. I always have quarter sheets of paper nearby, usually. So these are the perfect size to hold up to the webcam. So you'll notice as I'm holding up this smaller piece of paper to the webcam, there's all this space below and to the side of the picture or the piece of paper. I won't let students take a picture of a whole piece of paper. I can't, I'm too old. My eyes cannot read that. I don't want to squint and pinch and zoom. So I want them to do all their work on quarter sheets. So how do I have them draw in a Google Doc, whatever? I don't want them to do that. I want to do paper tasks on paper. It's much easier a lot of times just to use paper. And so, you know, I teach math. So they might put that on there. So here in my Google Doc, I'm going to use the image icon in the toolbar. I'm going to choose camera. When I hold up to the webcam, do you see it's not covering? The problem is full piece of paper is so covers your face, I can't see the button to push. This is perfect. I have a really big screen. This is perfect because I can still see the entire insert and capture of what I'm trying to stick in there. And apparently I accidentally stuck my selfie in there again. I don't know why that was still there. So it's a great and easy way for kids to submit their work, and whatever they've done, they can just put in a Google Doc or Google Slides and insert it with a picture. If you double click on the picture, do you see the crop icons come up? Those are those black bars by double clicking. Every time I use like Office, like PowerPoint, I want to double click to crop and I can't. So we can crop right in on just that part. And it's a quick and easy way for kids to show me whatever. Get it right in the Google Doc. Okay, so that is tip number 1. Questions. Were you able to do it? Are you going to start using it from now on? I bet you didn't think, like, would I put a picture in there? I think it's just fun sometimes to stick my selfie in just because I want to be weird enough that they'll look and see if I did something weird. Like, did she put anything in there? Now, you'll notice that when I put those pictures in there, they're huge. They're so big. And so if you make a table first, your pictures will size to the table. So I don't know how much time I spend like putting pictures in and then resizing it so it's not so big. Forget that. I stopped doing that a long time ago. So I use the insert menu and I insert a table. And I usually do a 2x1. And then if you get in between the two cells, you'll see that the mouse changes to let me resize the cell. Now I'm going to use the camera this time. I'm going to insert camera. Well, I don't know why they did this update that I just take the picture and it puts the old one in there. So first of all, do you notice that this picture when I did it a second ago, it was huge. It was huge. And now when I put the picture just in the cell, it's the size, it's the width of the cell. So let me try this again. I go by camera. Why would it put it the last one? Right? There's my picture. I can still crop it. I can stick those in there. Now I, of course, like to use my Bitmoji. So I'm going to resize the cell. So I'm like, that's how much room it's going to get. And I just drag my Bitmoji from the Chrome extension right into the cell. And you'll notice up here when I did my Bitmoji, it was huge. But if I do it into a table cell, not so huge. That's a good trick. I almost always make a table when I want to put images into my Google Doc. So I like to go to the insert menu and I go to table and I do a 2x1 and I shrink over that first cell so it's not so big. And I put my Bitmoji, in the cell. Hey, buddy, I'm on a webinar, okay? You can come stand with me if you want.
I'm going to another
Okay.
right though. In a little bit.
Now notice what happens when I put this text in the table cell. My picture is sized right. That looks lovely. You know, I got this black border around there. So my key trick, guys, my key trick is I like to use a handwriting font next to my Bitmoji, something that's legible, so not cursive. And I'm going to make it bigger. But then if I right click on the table, If you right-click on the table, it says Table Properties. If you right-click on the table, you get Table Properties. And I'm going to make the table border 0. So I've got a border of 1s. You can see that black highway running around my whole table. I'm going to do 0, and then I like to vertically align it in the middle. So what that's going to do is line up my Bitmoji or my picture with my text quite nicely with no highway. All right, so try this with me. Insert table. I know, right, Lysandra? We're going to insert a table. Do a 2x1, and it's a little tricky. You got to get right in there, right on that line in the middle, and make it smaller. I alternate which side my Bitmoji's on, so put some variety in my document. And I put that cursor right in that smaller cell. And you can use the insert by camera. Dang it, I did it again. It didn't used to do that. I don't know why it is giving a different one than the one I just, whatever. Why would I not want to put the one I just made in there? Well, that looks way more awkward than I meant it to. So you can drag your Bitmoji in the cell, or you can put your picture in there, but it's going to resize to the width of the cell. Yes. I like to use a handwriting font because if I'm putting it next to my picture or I'm putting it next to my Bitmoji, I want it to feel more not, I don't want to say academic, but I want it to be personal, like it's me saying it. So if you look at any of my directions documents, you'll notice that I put these little asides. You know those things you say in class, like, here's what the book says, and then you're like, let me explain it to you. So I put those in my directions documents in a legible handwriting font. So like this monkey one is good. This one's okay, it's not great. I definitely don't do cursive. And if I right-click, you right-click and go to Table Properties. Get a right-click on the table. Go to Table Properties. And that's where you want a table border of 0 and alignment in the middle. Boom. That looks good. Now, if I resize this table cell, once it's inserted, it's not going to resize the image. It inserts at the width of the cell, and it stays that way. Questions? Okay, that was number 2. Let's take a look at my number 3. This one's a little harder to demonstrate. But, you know, when you put comments in a document, I'm writing this book with my friend Kimberly Mattina here. We both co-authored the recent book is Stepping Up to Google Classroom, 50 Steps for Beginners. And so we have a lot of comments back and forth. And what new comments have been made since the last time I looked in a document? And then they're all scattered out. So this is something I want you to teach students. Now, if I highlight this, this is new as of today for me. Do you remember before it'd be like a circle with a plus sign to put the comment in? So as of today, it's got this blue add comment or suggest edits, which is great because when I'm writing a book, I insist that me and the co-author use suggest edits when we put in new content, because otherwise when you have a multi-page document, you can't tell what they did since the last time you looked at it. So I'm going to add comment. Puts the comment icon on the side. Here's a little secret. Control-Enter saves your comment. So you see I have my comment. Then I'm going to put another comment. Here is another comment. And if I go up to the very top next to the share icon, what looks like a chat, like you're thinking you're having in-document chat, is actually your comment history. So it's much easier if you're working on a document with somebody else, that you click on the comment history icon and you can see what was the last comment without having to filter through all of the comments. So as you're giving feedback to students, they should go and click on that comment icon so that they can see if you've left them new feedback since the last time you might have left some feedback. And then it's sequential, and you can click on it and it jumps to that comment. If you click on the very tiny triangle next to the comment, you'll notice it gives you options to edit the comment, delete the comment entirely, resolve the comment, or link to the comment, which I really like. So when I give a feedback comment copy in the document, I'm like, they're never going to see that. So I do this little tiny triangle, link to this comment, copy the link, and then I paste that into the private comments in Google Classroom or wherever you give feedback to, their grades and comments in there. I'll put it in there because I know that if I have to rely on them opening the Google Doc to go get the comment, I might as well just waste my time. Like if they don't see it, I wasted my time. So if I can just link back to it, I'm like, hey, I left you some feedback, go check it out. I at least have a better chance to make sure that they'll go back. Okay. And tip number 4 is, did you know you can use emojis as bullet points? Now you are going to be, I've just thrown you down the rabbit hole. You're going to make all your emojis, all your bullet points into emojis. So in the toolbar, when I choose bulleted list, now if you click on this bullet, you can get the bullet to show up and you're like, Alice, it's so small. You can actually make just the bullet bigger. And notice my font's the same size. But I can change the font of just the bullet. So let's do that again. I'm going to put in a bullet. Whoops, let me get down here. A tiny bullet. It's a little tricky. You got to click right on the bullet. It highlights it. And then you can make the bullet bigger. You can change the color of the bullet using the font size, font color. But if you right-click on the bullet, have you ever right-clicked on the bullet? You're like, these are boring. They are a little boring. So you go to more bullets, and it brings up insert special characters. So someone was asking me the other day, how do you get the division symbol? It's from the special characters. Do you see I can add a division symbol? And now my bullet points, I am divisive. I divided this. Make my bullet points into the division symbol. I'm going to add a bullet point. I got to click on the bullet point, and I can make the font bigger. I can change the color of the bullet point, which does not change the color of my text. And I right-click on the bullet and go to more bullets, and I want a pair. So you can draw the symbol you want, or you can type it. So now notice, if I was doing a Pear Deck presentation, I might want my bullets to be pairs. Okay. So your charge is to try adding a bullet to your Google Doc. You want the just bulleted list. Right-click on it, go to more bullets, and then see what you might want to add. Now notice I was searching for them, but under symbol, I can just switch it to emoji. So if you don't want to search for the emojis, you can filter for the emojis, and you can filter for different kinds. So I can have cake for my bullet points. And make that bigger because it's cake. Tell me your Google Docs didn't just become 10 times more fun. We should make them all cake. Got it to work? Kristen, you got it to work? You're muted.
I wasn't sure you get the cake, Alice.
You what?
How did you get the cake?
Ah, yeah, right. So let me start a brand new bullet list. So when I go in the bullet list, I got to click right on the bullet. Do you see how the bullet is highlighted and not the text?
Yeah.
And then I want to make it bigger. And then when I right click on that bullet, I go to more bullets. And then you have some different categories. And then if you go to the next, you see all these drop downs.
Uh-huh.
One of the drop down options is emoji.
Oh, wow.
What's this one? Format and white space. I have no idea what these are. These look Arabic. So, when I went to emoji, it defaults to, these bombs and hearts and things. But I can go to plants, objects, and food, and I can have an ice cream cone.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. I'd like to have ice cream.
Hmm?
I'd love to have some ice cream right now.
All right. It was nice out today. It was blizzard the other day, and then all the snow's melted and it was warm today. All right, and my last tip is I highly want you to change the headings in your Google Docs. So you'll notice at the very top in the toolbar, like here is what we are going to do. It says normal text up in the toolbar. It says normal text and it's your style, so it's right next to the font. You want to use headings because you'll notice in the document on the left, if you're viewing the document outline, show document outline under view. If you're doing that, it's going to automatically populate. Right? Here is stuff we are doing, stuff to bring, and I'm going to make that a heading 2. Stuff, things not to bring. I'm going to make that a heading 2. And you'll see how it's automatically creating this document outline on the left-hand side because you're using headings, and it's more accessible to a screen reader. And there's a lot of other reasons that you don't want to just make your font bigger, but you want to actually make it headings. And then you're like, but Alice, it's ugly. Like, I don't like that font. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is, if you would, in your sample Google Doc, just type something, section 1, and then go up to the toolbar and make it heading 1. Subsection, I'm going to make it heading 2. I'll do section 2 and make it heading 1. Subsection, heading 2, subsection, heading 3, and section 3, I'll make it heading 1. So put whatever you want on there. Just try out heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3, that you're taking your text and changing it from normal text into headings. You'll see that it is populating already on the left-hand side in the toolbar, but then here's where it becomes cool. So I'll just wait a second for you to get your headings in there. Like, I don't like this font. Okay, cool. Highlight it. Make the font the way you like it. So I'm going to make it this Sedgwick Avenue display just so it pops. I'm going to make it really big. And make it hot pink. You're like, Alice, I don't want to do all those steps for each of the sections, right? Because this section 1, this section 2, those are heading 1s. They should all be the same format. Buddies? So if I have my mouse I'm selected on the section 3 where I've changed the font. I've changed it. Like I want it bigger. I want it hot pink. I want this funky font. Come back up to here where it says heading 1. And when you come down, it says update heading 1 to match. So it's going to read the formatting on what this heading 1 is. And now it's going to be, do you notice like that? All my heading 1s became hot pink and big and funky font. I'm going to take this subsection. I'm going to change the font. Bubblegum Sands. Make it a little bigger. Make it purple. Now this is showing that heading 2 looks like this font. But if I go to the arrow and I update the heading 2 to match, it's going to read what I got going on here. And you see it made both of them, of the heading 2s match. The font size, the font style, and the font color. Hey, Gabby. So you'll see it's still populating in the side, but now all of my document, the design matches. And if you change your mind, you're like, oh, I'd really like this to be Times New Roman or Arial or whatever it is. You just go find one of the headings, like I'm using heading 1. And then I would update the heading to match so I can update it throughout the entire document, that all the heading 1s would change. I use that a lot. I use it a lot. You'd be surprised. Gabby, here is the link to the Google Slides. Link to the slides. Any questions? All right, well, that was a fun 30 minutes. And I will hopefully see you again another time. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.